All right, let's talk about Lab 7. So this one is going to be about file processing. So some stuff that we've been doing recently in class. It's your turn. My sample files for you to mess with are like the first chapters of a bunch of popular books. So that'll be fun. And yeah, you're going to make a couple things. So here's the code. Here are the files that you're getting. You're going to be implementing head.s and tail.s, and those are actually commands that exist already. So what head is, there's actually a terminal command called head right now. If this is your Alice in Wonderland file, like it's the first chapter of Alice in Wonderland, head is a terminal command that just looks at the first part of the file, like the head of the list almost. It gives you the first 10 lines, all right? And then tail is kind of the opposite. Tail, on that same file, gives you the last 10 lines, all right? Look at the head of it, look at the tail of it. So you're going to make these. You're going to make these in assembly, all right? So do head first. Head is easier, all right? But here's your idea. You're going to, you can try the normal terminal command like I just did, but you're going to recreate it in assembly. So your job is to get, in head.s, code that opens. First of all, you have to open a file with command line arguments, because you're saying head space name of the file. You're getting argv, argc, and argv in W0 and X1. Remember that, all right? So it's your job to open that file, the file given to you as a C string and argv of 1. Go there, fopen it, right? You can use the C library, that's fine. And then you can read it with fgetC, all those fun C library functions, that's perfect. And then just like read enough and print back out enough until you've hit, like keep a counter of, I've read 10 lines. Then print out that last new line and you're done, all right? That's what I want you to do. Go into argv of 1, print out every character until you've printed out 10 lines worth of stuff. Then you can stop. All right. So yeah, my hint to you is like just read a character at a time, and then put it back out with put char. Okay, that's a standard io.h thing. Whee. Just like everything else. So put char is a function that just writes a single character to standard out. So you just keep on calling that until you've hit 10 lines. Check for new lines, because that's how you know once you've hit 10 lines. And then stop. Then you're done. You don't have to read anymore. Close the file, stop the program. Right? So that's how that works. If you were given a file that is less than 10 lines, if it was less than 10 lines, your program needs to output the entire file, right? It's supposed to be at least 10 lines of output. So if here's what's another file I got, like test.txt, that's a 3-line file, all right? So head and tail for test.txt, you should just print the whole darn thing out, because those are the first 10 lines. Those are the last 10 lines. There's not enough, and so you gotta fill up the space, all right? So don't print 10 lines though, just print the whole file. Print the whole file. That's all you got for those guys. All right, I hope that makes sense. That's head. Just like keep a counter and keep on reading in characters and printing back out characters while your counter for lines is less than 10. And then tail is the same idea. You're going to print out the last 10 lines of the file. All right. So again, you're going to use argv. Argv of 1 is where the file name that you want to fopen lives, and then you want to go and print out the last 10 lines. And this is a bit harder because you have to figure out like where do the last 10 lines start. You kind of have to read through the entire file once to know how many lines there are, don't you? So tail is harder than head. Do head first. All right. So again, it might have fewer than 10 lines, in which case you want to output the whole file again. But here's a strategy. This is how I did it in my autogreeter answer. You should read through the file twice. All right. The first time, count how many lines there are, and don't print anything out. You're just trying to figure out where are the last 10 lines, all right? Then you can rewind. There's a library function called rewind that I talked about just briefly that is helpful here. It will rewind the file back to the start. So you give just the file pointer and call the function. It's a void function. It will reset the file back to the beginning. So when you fgetC again, now you're back at the start. And then, now you're at the start, you can start throwing away characters until you find the start of the last minus 10 plus 1th line, right? Because that's when you want to start outputting characters, right? And then you just output characters until you reach the end of the file. So I hope that makes sense. But that's a strategy. That's one way to do it. That's the easiest way I can think of, at least. All right, so that's tail. It's a little bit harder because you have to read through the file first to know like where is the the last 10 lines. You got to keep a counter there. So that is that's going to be your lab. So two just character-based mostly examples, and they correspond to some very heavily used. I use head and tail a whole lot when I'm looking at like log files from the class server, seeing who's trying to like guess the root password or something. So these are useful commands, and you will now have some experience making them. So that'll be fun. So what you'll be turning in are those two files that you messed with, those two assembly files, and that's it. All right, they're going to each be worth the same amount of credit, though tail is totally harder. So maybe that's a good thing. You're welcome. All right, so that's Lab 7. I think that's all that I wanted to say. Please yell at me if you have any questions, and I will see you next time.